Howdy, howdy, howdy. Wow, we have to turn good lights on. This phone is crazy. So, signing on again, seeking truth. See if we can find Frank. Just getting home. Bit of a weird trip home, in fact. I was joking earlier about, the American embassy and Frank obviously being followed, which he obviously is, but that would affect me in any way. And then there was this weird guy that, while Frank and I were talking, was having a cigarette right behind me, like on my shoulder. Just a weird thing to do in the middle of the night in a fairly empty downtown of Ottawa. Anyways, whatevs. He jumps in his car behind me and goes away. There's a bit of a joke about it. Then, come back here, swung around. I was going to park on the other side. I'm like, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and park in the McDonald's parking lot. It's 24-hour McDonald's. You're not supposed to park in the parking lot. Give it a go. Pull into the parking. Oh, Frank is there. Pull into the parking lot. Already, get out of the parking lot. And start walking towards the place. And whoops, there's an RCMP officer comes along. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Fraser.
Just telling a story.
So, no, continue your story.
So this RCMP officer, now this is the federal cops. In Ottawa, we have like several different jurisdictions all in one. So while it's one big city, Ottawa and Gatineau, there's the Ottawa City Police, the Gatineau City Police, the Quebec Provincial Police, the Ottawa Provincial Police, the RCMP. I ran out of fingers. I'm going to start this new hand. There is also the NCC that have a sort of police force that has powers of jurisdiction here. There's a combined sort of Senate and House of Commons police force that has jurisdiction within the actual site of the House of Commons. There's also the military police that have certain jurisdictions.
Oh,
I think I'm at 8. Anyways, all to say that there's this RCMP officer, like a big kind of SUV drives up, like behind me, or behind my car, as I'm kind of crossing the drive-through lane, which is the shortcut to my place, but it's kind of made to be a sketchy thing to do when a RCMP officer just pulls into the parking lot. Anyways, so I go off, and my door is only like a minute away from there, right? So I go off to dump some stuff in, well, essentially to kind of crash and maybe talk to you for a while before I go back and out and move my car, not to tempt the full night thing. Anyways, corner of my eye, I'm not like staring at this guy, obviously. Like anyways, whatevs. But that's, corner of my eye, I'm seeing he swings around and then he stops right behind my car, but in direct view of where I'm going. So I get to the door and I'm again like, I know he's still sitting there. Fumbling, keys drop. Damn it. Oh, that does not look good. Okay, get them straight, get a key in, go. And I just kept, and it just, this one thing after another, like I started off with like, I was making a joke with you and the American embassy, and I was like,
yeah,
wait a
right.
second. Are the Americans and the police, why is the federal police following me now? Good God, are they quick? All these electronic surveillance, they're quick. So the NSA talked to the
I can't, it's secret. I'm being watched.
Uh-oh,
They're
someone made a
watching
comment.
me.
They're watching us. Yeah, I've got the comments on now. I just saw your comment. I'm here.
Oh, it's me. Yeah, okay.
I'm kind of slow. But yeah, no, but there's a truth to it in that electronic surveillance is a lot less conspicuous. It's just
Speaking
constant
of,
data collection and word association. Like they can say when you said a word, they don't even need someone to make a comment. They just don't like certain words. Millions of hours of YouTube videos, they could do it with a click
speaking
of a
of
button.
Fraser, there's a lot of videos of, you've heard this thing called Alexa from Amazon. It's
Heard
that,
of it. It's the thing that responds to your voice, kind of thing.
right. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's basically spyware that you buy and it does things. I don't know if
Because
it does it. I don't know what the hell it does, but it's basically spyware and malware you're buying.
your
So if
spyware.
people have asked,
Yeah. Mhm.
well, people have asked Alexa, is the CIA watching me or hearing me? And it would tend to shut off and not respond.
That's
Like
funny.
that's not suspicious at all. You know, you know.
There's No, it's all those things. I recently like. Oh, actually, another good thing about getting a new phone.
Well, no, is that Alexa? I
Interestingly,
think it's
that
Siri. It might be Siri. I'm not
Siri,
sure. It's not. It's
but
one of
in
those.
in that sort of
No, Siri's the
spyware,
Apple thing. No, it's Alexa. Yeah.
like when you talk about spyware and malware wants to do your thing harm. Spyware just
Yeah.
wants to
Right.
take your information. Information is
Right. It's all
gold.
right.
So
Alexa. Right. Alexa
when
would
I
be
got
spyware. Yeah.
so in that sense, and that on the same topic was when I updated the phone. So I was just flipping through the menus like one by one to see what options I was clicking on and off and that sort of thing. And I
Right.
came to this thing, applications that have access to your account. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
and because
They want to look at photos. They want access to the microphone, camera, things like. Yeah.
that's
Right.
it. And just things
Yeah.
that, and again, they just want to see who your contacts are to try and get some data that is worth money. Not a, not entirely
Well, you know,
benign, but not necessarily
it's not. Well,
malware. So no, but
a
the
lot
point
of it
was
is
no, but so my point was
to get
here.
advertisements. Yeah. Go ahead.
But the
Yeah. Go ahead.
advertisements, they want the advertisements. So what I'd done previously, and only came to the realization now because I got a new phone, thanks, Frank, is this. My kid has a tablet, right? And I put my Google account just so he can go into the Play Store and download things. And he'll be playing along and he'll click something, oh, download this. And he knows how to click, and the green means download, accept all, whatever, right? So
Yeah. I
when
get.
on this
Yeah.
new phone, I'm
With the
going through
Google
this
store.
list,
Yeah.
there was like 50 of these like just stupid games. Like in my mind, just a sort of a facade
Oh, sorry.
to give you a dumb game like Pong or something, right? But all it is spyware that's asking
Yeah.
permissions to my Google account. I had like 50 of these. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, what? What?
Right. And
I'm getting my son
if
his
it's
own account. Holy
I don't
cow.
blame you. I really don't blame you. But it's
Wow.
you
And
got
it was just
well
all
now you have
spyware.
the well now you have the Google Store available on your phone because it's from Samsung. If you download, not that it's the same thing, but it's all spyware too. But you download from the Google Store, it's a reputable app. It'll work. It won't make your phone go crazy, and it probably it's I can't say it's malevolent or benevolent spyware, but it's still spyware. It's still everything. It's
Yeah.
still asking for all these permissions, contacts, your camera, uh, what is it? Permissions to pay, everything you can possibly think of.
I
Your
had
microphone. You know the
this,
ones that I'm suspicious of that want access to your microphone. I don't know about that.
but and it seems benign, but it could be used for worse things. One that got me was Waze. Waze is like Google
I
Maps
have
kind of
that
thing.
too.
You have that?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah. Yes.
Well, download it again and watch when you accept because it asks for camera,
Oh, I know.
contacts.
Yeah.
It's like,
Location. It
what?
wants no
No,
location, camera,
contacts.
microphone. Yeah, right. You
There's
know
some
why?
things
Because with the contacts, it's using people,
trying to invite people
people
on. Yeah,
contact ways, people contact ways and actually in real time tell ways there's traffic jams, if
it's
there's traffic is
beautiful.
clear, gas stations, price, some things like that, points of interest, everything, things like that. So that's what
It's
they're
a
using that
really
for.
good product. And that's what the
It
thing
really
is,
is.
which is where the thing is coming towards that, where actually people, not people, but at least companies realize that whoops, throwing myself around, the the data is worth value. Our
Yeah.
information, like how tall I am, is worth value to someone for whatever stupid reason. How long my hair is
Demographics.
worth value to
Yeah.
how long your hair is worth value to someone. It's very short.
Yeah.
But for some reason, people want just random information like that. But you don't just
It's
take
always
it.
being sold
That's
to some other
to take
company.
it is not going to be a good business model. But there is a business model in there, and if you can give something to someone, like Waze is super useful. You cannot get around in Montreal. No, I cannot get around in Montreal without Waze
Yeah.
because one person goes by a new construction zone, signals it, and no one else has to go through it. Google Maps doesn't
Yeah,
do that.
right. It's
And it's just
right. The Waze is
what a
very
beautiful
useful. Yeah.
system. So, and I see contacts,
Well,
there's a justification for it because, it's like a social community kind of thingish thing, right?
there you go. Now you're talking
So,
about this could be spyware, but it depends on what it's being used for. Is it being used to
exactly.
help,
You
or
want
is
to
it
get,
being used to hurt?
and the best
You
thing for
know?
Waze is to get a lot of people on that community. The best thing for
Right.
everybody is to have more people. So if they have
I
contacts to
think
kind
there's
of
like
suggest to them,
3,700
that's a
wage
good
users in
thing.
my area. There's
Pardon?
like 3,700 wage users in my area,
Yeah.
and it's
I
actually shown on the phone how many are in your area that are using the product right now, and that blows my mind. They actually know, and they can tell you
yeah.
how many are there. Yeah, that's amazing.
Waze is a little bit like a game. I discovered it about the same as time as Pokemon Go, and my kid played that for a little bit. Well, Waze, when you drive, did I tell you how many kilometers I drove? Yes, I did.
You did, yeah.
160,000 kilometers
Yeah.
for about, I don't know, I'm going to just say half. It's probably not that, but something like half. It's not recently because I stopped doing it on purpose. I was a big Wazer. Like I was top,
Really?
what was the thing you could, I was definitely top 55. No, what is the top? It goes to 55, the first weekly one or something, or
I have
monthly.
no idea. I don't know.
Anyways,
I'm
in
a
Canada, I met that a few times when I had a busy week.
wow.
And then on the overall, like if I had kept going, I saw what position I would reach, and I was just marching up to that. If I was, I was obviously competing against truckers and stuff, so it was just a really odd week. Maybe it was a vacation week, and somehow I'm like, wow, I popped up that week. But in actuality, like I would have come up, but met a ceiling because there's a lot of truckers that are using it. I was a
Yeah,
big
we know.
wazer and just real proud of like, oh, new points, advertising things and stuff. But I'm like,
What is it
oh,
good for? What are the points good for though? No,
nothing
I
at
don't.
all. Just
Okay.
personal pride. It was a fun
Yeah.
game, though, a really fun game. And it's just as dumb as Angry Birds.
For
Just
me, for
stupid.
me, it's a tool because I can't get around for shit without in bad areas or areas I don't know without
Mhm.
navigation.
I really
You
like
know,
Google
a while
Maps.
ago, wait, I want to tell you a story. A
Sorry.
while ago, that's all right. My father got sick, and he ended up in the hospital for a long time. He was being taken care of. Local hospital here couldn't. He was going back and forth between the hospital and rehab. His kidneys completely failed. He had heart failure, and that eventually affects your kidneys. Blood flow can't. His kidneys don't work anymore. He went into total kidney failure once. They managed to save him. He got septic a couple of times. He got really sick, and they had to put him in a nursing home that had a dialysis machine.
Mm,
This was in Queens. I live in Brooklyn. You don't know the area Queens is. Queens is a ways away.
it's far.
Uh, so I had to get a navigation system in order to get there.
Mm.
Without that, I would never know where to go. I would be completely lost. So
This is
it's
with
something, and
your, but you're in an Impala. You're driving now to do this.
well, that was back then. I had an Oldsmobile Intrigue, basically the same type of car,
Okay,
but
okay. Okay, but
it
you're
was
driving. Yeah.
yeah. I bought it from a friend for $200. It was, or I still have it, the TomTom navigation system. Still
Oh,
works.
yeah,
I
yeah.
still use it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
These
now the one
things,
on my phone is so much more advanced now.
oh, with Waze, with user input, it's amazing what the possibilities are if everyone had that. And it just started redirecting traffic intelligently before the jams and just like,
And not
oh,
only that,
it could really
not
be
only
useful.
not only that, my TomTom I have to physically connect to my computer to update.
Hmm.
This will update over the internet when you open the app.
Yeah,
It'll
on
automatically
Wi-Fi. And
update
I say only do it on
on
Wi-Fi, and
Wi-Fi.
it's just
Yeah,
like, oh, it's
right.
beautiful. And I can shut it off. I can like, if I want to, I can just send it, shut off Wi-Fi, and just take that prediction, like it won't update, but so it's really like user
Well,
friendly.
you
And
have enough. You have enough data now. You can use
oh yeah,
Wi-Fi.
me, I don't, but even if I had
Thank you,
like
Frank.
zero data, but imagine you have zero data, but you could punch that in at home and it would know what the traffic is at that point,
Yeah, right.
and then you cut off data, but you at least have that trajectory given to you. So it's really useful even if you don't have that. So no, Waze is a really good one. What do I say about that? Yeah, anyways. Hmm.
Oh,
No, I was gonna say
sorry.
about Waze, but then and other things like it, but it asks you for those. The thing is, it asks you for contacts, and it's useful. We can see why it could be used for good, but at the same time, they could be advertising to my friends. Like I basically sign off to allow them to do that too.
Right.
Sure, it would be good to they used it for good, but also with the camera. The camera on Waze, I think you get to a location, it says, why don't you take a picture of this? So you need a camera for that. You need access to the camera. But
Cameras in the phone.
anytime, I think, how does it work when the application, I don't even think the application has to be on. They have access to my
I think
camera,
the application has to be running to access the camera. I don't think it runs in the background.
but I can't be sure
There's
of
a way
that.
to.
Can we be
So there's a
sure?
way to check your background apps to make sure they're not running. There's a way
That's
to do
it.
it on your phone.
And then they
Right.
have one that's in the background. I wouldn't notice it, and it's actually watching me the whole time. But it's like, oh no, that's a good app. They need my camera for X purpose. But you've actually given it for A to Z purposes, permission, whereas you can see X is a good purpose.
You can
That's the
revoke some
sort of,
permissions still. You can revoke some permissions on the phone. It's possible. You can go
I hope,
into the app,
yeah, I hope that it
but
doesn't come to that because I hope that somehow it will be in the legal systems that it will be judged as just reasonable approval. You know,
well,
like it's like if you sign a full agreement that's 35 pages thick and you just sign at the end and then the person says, "Okay, I now own your firstborn son." You say,
all
"What?"
these apps
But you don't
that
wait,
when you
wait.
download them,
But if you
well,
sign a contract that says that and then you
well,
go to the court and that guy says, "No, he just signed a contract that says I own his firstborn son." The court would say, "No, that was to sell a house. You don't get to keep the kid. That's stupid." So it would never be legally binding. And that's something like what we're talking about. So if we say use the camera for X, then it's obvious we're talking about X. And they don't get to use it for A to Z. They don't get to use it to spy on you. They don't get to use it even if
right.
it's just in the
Right. It's a
background. Only
very
if you
specific app
specifically,
specific. Right. It's an app specific use of that
and
part
that
of your
should be an
phone.
obvious interpretation, but legally right
Well,
now,
yeah.
it's not the case. But I hope that that evolves to the case where, you know, the obvious interpretation is the one it is. But right now, that's not it. If you say camera, and like you say, I
Well,
don't know the details, but at some point, they can be watching you. If like Waze is on, they could be watching your whole car drive. That's what we've just allowed them to do. So that there's a scary part to that.
well, now there's
I
another
might
part to this
uninstall
too,
Waze.
Fraser. That that these navigation systems can see where you're going and how fast you're traveling because they do have the mile per hour thing on. So what's to stop the police from using that information to give you
Mm-hmm.
a ticket if you're speeding? That could be the next
The
application,
next step. But once it gets to the
Right.
point, it's like the sort of public good is sort of like I said, we can all see the value of every single car having something like that in it to help track traffic so that eventually you can see it saying every car must be manufactured with a Waze chip or a chip that
Well, something that
everyone can
a
follow.
GPS chip. Well, like a
And then
GPS device. Yeah.
but it's only for traffic purposes. But now every car has a GPS with you attached to it. It's like, yeah, but that could be for safety purposes. Yeah, but then they know where every single car is all the time,
Right.
every time, which
It's
is
yeah. It's
good, bad,
you're encroaching. Yeah,
bad,
the government
bad.
encroaching on your freedoms. Yeah, right. You're talking about Big Brother now coming in and
It
encroaching your freedoms. Getting involved in every part of your life.
it's a fine line,
You
but we
know.
can agree that Waze is a good thing. But as soon as it's that step of becoming once it's deemed like, oh no, now only the well, I'm saying that like a now only the government can run it. We must have that under government control. It's like, whoa, no, 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 no. You know, that's the no step. But to have that much data and that much power, it's new and it's interesting. But anyways,
Yeah, it's
to be
interesting. It's
determined.
interesting to say the least. To say the least, it's interesting. You made me thinking about this now. We found another truth.
Did you? And science fiction is funny, but did you ever watch oh, Arnold's Terminator?
Yes.
Like these things, and it's that kind of thing, the Skynet, right? It's that we designed it. Oh, I can't remember exactly the full backstory. Skynet was supposed to be for protection, or what was Skynet for?
It was it was
Skynet
just
was
like a
designed for
computer.
something, and then
It
it
was
ended
supposed to
up.
be like a computer system. It was like a computer system uh,
Mhm.
that learned at a geometric rate and became self-aware at a
Yeah,
certain time. I don't know the exact thing, but Skynet is a word away from internet. So
yeah,
what if our internet is actually Skynet and it's learning everything that we're putting into
it
it,
is.
and
Yeah,
there's no physical being to it. It's all of what humanity is in this virtual reality, and what that virtuality becomes self-conscious, self-aware, and now deems humans as a threat. What's to stop them from accessing, like in the movies, all
hmm
nuclear arsenal, wiping out humanity, and starting over again, this time on a technological basis, not biological.
it's and it just struck me about the link to the conversation on intelligence, like what is intelligence, that right now, if you see the internet just as a thing has more intelligence
It's not
than any
intelligence.
human
It's
being. It has
information.
more
No, it's
information.
information. It's not
But
intelligence.
now, if it can
Artificial intelligence is
realize,
very, very. Well,
but if
Fraser,
it realizes that,
artificial intelligence is
mm,
very hard to replicate in a computer because
for
it's
sure.
like a brain. A human brain, I think, is something like 3 trillion uh, processes per second, something
Oh
like that.
yeah.
I don't
Mm.
think any
I
computer
was
can come
talking.
close to that.
No, but it was. Oh, geez, I wish I had the thing. No, but it was. There was someone was talking about this in terms of processing RAM um, and hard drive, or like RAM and memory space. And so if we see one synapse as 1 byte of data, whereas a byte is like one or zero, and then
Yeah.
a synapse is more complicated than that. But even if we just say a synapse is one and zero, because it is much more complicated than that, then there was like terabytes and terabytes of actual storage space in the human brain, which is just like unimaginable what a neuron can do, or no, a
Oh
synapse,
yeah.
sorry, a
Right.
synapse. But then they said the RAM, which is like your what you can do in
Well, the
all
amount
at
of processes
once.
RAM is
So
basically it's a word to describe how fast
fast you can
the
do it.
process can work.
And
Yeah. Right.
so
Right.
and so if we try and map that, a computer, so right now the hard coding stuff, the memory side, perhaps a human has a large advantage. It's just so weirdly complex, but that's the hard drive, that's the memory. Whereas the RAM, they do these weird studies and they say effectively a given person can do 3 things at once without making too many mistakes. Maybe it's 2 or 5 for some people, you know what I mean? But not
Hmm.
10. Effectively 10 things at once, whereas a computer can do a million things at once. And so it has a great advantage on RAM, but a fabulous on the connections. And so again, what is intelligence? Now we think is a thing for itself, but at least just describing 2 qualities
Well,
of
okay,
the brain
well,
in that way. It was like they have a much superior RAM, an inferior storage unit, and the connections much inferior. So
but if that computer is doing 10 different things at once, it's only programmed to do 10 different things. It's
mhm,
not capable of learning anything different. It's basically just running through a program. When the program reaches the end, start from point one
yeah.
again. A human being doing 3 different things can learn, adjust, and make corrections if anything goes wrong. Computers can't do that right now.
Well, it can do it
That's
on one task, but it can't do it like if you're doing 3 tasks, a human that will adjust 3 seemingly independent tasks, whereas a computer may not be able to make that leap, say. But in terms of the one task, I agree with you. Like a computer can do one thing really, really well. Like there's a computer, a really good example of the artificial intelligence ones, or one of the prime examples is this computer that learned to play Go, like a little chess-like game, with white and
what
black.
about Big? You talking what about Big Blue, the one that was taught how to play chess,
No, but
and
after that, in these last couple of years, there's another game. It's like mostly I guess Asian, but it's called Go, just Go, I
never heard
think.
of it.
And it's got white and black kind of marbles almost, and then a a, a grid that might be it's bigger than the chess grid, so it might be 40 by 40, and then each
Okay.
point you could put one of these marbles in it. And I don't remember the rules, but you have to kind of surround the other guy's marbles to win territory or some weird thing like this. But basically, it's got almost infinite possible outcomes, whereas chess has a finite amount of outcomes. So it became an interesting example of a game that a thing like Deep Blue wouldn't be able to calculate, but Deep Blue is just calculating every possibility. And that's cheating, kind of. It's not intelligent, it's just
Yeah.
calculating them all. So Go is different, that there's just too many for a computer to calculate. So they had this system that they basically, boiling it down, they gave the basic rules of Go to it, how to do this, and then gave it some sort of artificial intelligence side. So it kind of learned from its mistakes and its losses. This was obviously much more complicated than that. Then they
Yeah.
basically made two versions and put it against itself, and it played a billion times. And that's how it learned to play Go effectively. So then they put it up against the Grandmaster. And this guy was a cocky guy. If you ever look into this, cocky guy. "Ah, this stupid computer can't beat me." It was a 5-match series, and it was like 4 to 5 went to the computer, and one went to stalemate or something. And then within a year, they say that the newest program could beat every Go Grandmaster on Earth at the same time with a guaranteed win every time. Like there's no way right now that a Go program could lose. And it's this adaptability. When it does these things, they were saying that people couldn't understand how it did it. But getting back to your point, it can only do one thing. Ask it to make
Yeah, right.
toast, and it doesn't understand a thing you're talking about. So again, you talk about intelligence. How intelligent is that? That thing can beat every Go master,
I don't think that's
and it
intelligence.
can't add
It
up
would.
1 and 2 or something like this, you know?
That's not intelligence. I
It's
would
not
define it.
intelligent.
It's just
No.
that's just. It's not intelligence. It's
It's
learning.
adaptable, it's a
It's
learning,
adapting. You're right. It's
but it's not
but it's not.
intelligence.
It's
No.
not intelligence. No.
But that's what we call
Right.
artificial intelligence. So the thing that we're afraid of in Skynet, it doesn't exist. All we're
I
talking
don't
about
think it
is
can with present
really,
technology.
it's just really advanced algorithms and adaptable algorithms that when we look at it, our processing speed is just too slow to understand what it's doing. But all it's doing is what we asked it to do. Just really, really,
Well, now
really,
we're
really,
going.
really, really, really
Well,
fast,
now. Well, now we have
I think.
self-driving cars too. And you're talking about artificial intelligence, self-driving cars. I don't trust them one bit. I don't think they have. They can. They. You can put magnetic strips in the road. They'll follow the magnetic strips. Um, they can guide themselves. Stop. See a red light. Stop at a red light. Go when the light's green. Adapt to stop signs, pedestrian stuff like that. But it's not intelligent. It's not learning. And what if someone runs in front of the car? What is the computer going to do? It sees an accident. Can it stop in time? I don't think that's intelligence either. I don't trust the computer to drive for me. If it
Well,
can't,
we're just extending ways though. All we're doing, and what I see is that there's like again, just bit by bit, we're actually getting intelligent cars or artificial intelligent cars.
it's
First
not
step,
artificial
no, no, no,
intelligence. I
it's
don't think.
not. But
I
all
don't.
it is automating different functionalities so that eventually you have something that can detect 5 miles ahead of you that there is an accident. We have it. It's called Waze. And so all that is one more functionality. We started off a long time ago with cruise control. I don't know,
Yeah.
let's start with this figure. No, let's start with
Yeah.
cruise control. Like cruise
Well,
control
cruise
was just
control
the
is just
first
basically.
level of
It's
automation.
just.
I
Yeah. It's
suck
right. It's
at
just
keeping
controlling
the
speed.
same speed on the highway now because cruise control is a machine that does it for me,
Oh, I never use it. Yeah. I
right?
never use it. I don't
Oh,
like
you
it.
don't use cruise control? I can't live
I
without
never
it.
use it. No.
Oh, I'm terrible.
Okay.
So, it's just one level of automation. And then backing up cameras. I can't park without a backup camera now. And it's super
Now cars
useful.
can park themselves. You see the cars now, Lexus, Mercedes can park
But
themselves. Parallel park, not even
yeah,
pull in. They can
but
parallel
that's like
park.
high-end stuff. What I foresee in like intelligent
Well,
use of this
I would
technology
think
is
that
highway
driving in the street.
driving in clear conditions. Just do highway
I would
driving in
think
clear
that yeah.
conditions because you're not just doing magnetic strips anymore. What they're doing is just multiple kind of redundant systems. So you have GPS, you have some sort of not radar but sonar, so you're detecting objects. You're also detecting the lines, and there's limitations to that too. But once you have 4 different systems and like visual cameras, and I don't know, there's like 4 or 5 they put in there, all of them detecting what's going on around you. And again, with the GPS of knowing what's going on 2 kilometers ahead of you, which I couldn't see around that next curve. Whoops, there's a pile up of an accident in a fog cloud. The automatic car, not the automatic car, but those automated features one at a time. Before you let go of your steering wheel, you can see like each one is value added, at least till there. But don't let go of your steering wheel yet. Just get Waze,
No,
get
no.
a backup camera, and just one at a
Yeah.
time. And then Skynet will take over eventually. No, but that's just that's thought.
Eventually. Yeah. Eventually. But
Baby steps.
I don't think I could trust the car. I enjoy
No.
driving too
Oh
much.
yeah.
I really do. I
And
really
just
do.
born with it. If
Um,
people are not born with it, but if you're born, you get behind the wheel and you take control, maybe the next generation you get in a car and you turn your back to the windshield. Like I'm sure that'll come, the next generation.
I'm
I
sure.
couldn't do it. I could not physically turn my back to the road in
And
the driver's seat.
and GM is making a car, a self-driving car with no steering wheel, no gas pedal, no brake pedal. It's
That's
just get
really,
in, tell the
really, really
destination, and
scary.
go.
Like there's
That
no kind
yeah,
of
with
oops.
no redundant systems that I can take control of. God forbid something happens.
No, 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 no. That's
I
a bad
wouldn't trust
idea.
it. No,
And never in
that's a
Canada.
very bad idea.
Luckily for being in Canada, it'll be the last place they're implemented. Like the snow-covered roads, that one system that looks at the lines, 4 months of the year, we can't see the lines. We're making up our own lines. So let's see the computer do that
Yeah.
one. The freaking juggle Montreal traffic. You get like every two-lane street, most two-lane streets become a one-lane street in the winter because the
I'm
cars,
not.
all the parking get pushed in,
Yeah,
and
I've
everyone
heard
accepts
about that.
it. But maybe an automated car wouldn't accept it, and it would go down the street, hitting everyone on the
Right,
way,
just drive like Bigfoot. Just drive over all the cars.
or just knock off everyone's mirror or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, did you hear the Google car? I think it was a Google car in
No,
California ran a red light and hit somebody.
oof, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But it'll happen. But in fact, like the accident rate, they've done, I guess, tests in Europe, like fairly extensive, where even with the prototypes, because basically a human only has two eyes, as I understand it. But you can
Yeah.
put like 100 eyes on this car. So the accident rate is way less, even on these prototype cars that are running around European cities. So that it happens, but it happens so much less. But again,
Well, you
even if
can't.
they do it
You take it.
100 points less, it would be very difficult for me, I can fully admit it, to let go of the wheel.
Well, you take
Or
a
not
human
let go of the
error in
wheel,
the situation
let
now.
someone else, let a computer drive. It'd be
Well,
tough.
now you're taking human error out. You're not having a human behind the wheel that's distracted,
Yeah.
listening to music, maybe fumbling with their phone or something like that. This computer is dedicated solely
Oh, yeah.
to the
That's it.
task of driving.
Yep.
That's it. That's all it's going to do. That's all it's ever going to do.
But I have to
Could
make
it go
sure,
anywhere?
yeah. I have to
Can
make
it
sure,
go?
like, yeah, sorry, you go, no, finish your thought.
Okay. Okay. Can it go anywhere past that? Could it
Hmm.
develop any kind of, well, like you say, intelligence? Could it bring you to a destination that it decides, or do you tell it where you want it to go? Could it take an alternate route if something happens? I don't know. You know,
Yeah, yeah, those
that's
questions
you know,
have to be answered. Yeah, exactly. That actually
yeah.
is what my point was, effectively. You
And
actually
there was
read
wait
my, yeah.
before you even go there. There was a thought experiment with one of these cars, just completely thought. And they said, now there is no way this car can avoid the accident. There's a
Hmm.
group of 5 people on this side and one person on this side, right?
Hmm.
The car has to steer in one or either or direction. It can't go straight.
No, no, no. I know this one.
Would
No,
the
it's
computer
better.
choose, or would the computer choose to hit the 5 people or the one person?
It's better.
That
No,
that
there's a better one. It's 5 people or a brick wall. So it means it's either 5 people or it's you.
Oh, you're sacrificing the driver, right? Okay.
That's a better one, no?
So
What should the
so
computer do?
what's the
You're the
computer
owner
going
of
to
the
decide?
car.
Yeah, right.
You
You
bought
would
the
want to
car,
save yourself first. Yeah, you want to save yourself first.
but the
So
computer should choose the
does the
wall.
computer have that sense of self-preservation, or would it kill other people to sacrifice to save itself and the driver?
But okay, now
That's a thought experiment.
it is. I'm in the driver's seat. Now I've thought about this one a lot. Should I program it into the car? Because I'm basically in this data mining or data business, data anyways. Um, that should I program it in to kill me in that situation? You know?
Yeah,
If you had the
you're
power to
right.
program your computer to do that, what would you program it to do? Knowing that in that moment you might make the decision that morally you didn't want to make, but because you twitched or whatever. What would you program into the
Oh,
car to make
it's
sure the
so
right
tough.
decision?
The right decision is so tough to make. It's in that moment I would probably sacrifice myself to save other
Yeah.
people, but, but I don't think a computer has that kind of capability.
No, but that's
I
it.
don't.
Imagine that's one of those features at the beginning because everyone's talked about this one example. You get a list of features when you go in. It's like, do I want A or B? Is my life No. There might be something you would put in there to put the value on your personal life more than someone else's, say. To say the 1 in 5 thing, kill the 5, let me live. If you could actually have that option to program that in yourself, because essentially that
Mm.
option has to be programmed in by someone. It just has to. There has to be some sort of
Right, right. The
moral
car can't
decision
think for
making
itself.
where it
Right.
can, first of all, identify that 5 people. It has to be able to do that. I don't think that's impossible to imagine.
No.
And then it has to be able to react given that it's okay. Wait, or it's like, oh, actually, I'm driving a school bus. There's 10 people in the school bus, and now there's only 5 pedestrians. And so it has to be able to make all those calculations, which can do. Computers are super fast. They're only going to get faster. Someone
Mm-hmm.
has to program that decision in. Not that specific one, but the general morality that goes around what that would decision make. And so imagine, because it's so important, you get to decide for your car. And then it's just a mind block. It is.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
mind blowing. But at the same time, I should say, I don't foresee that like now the car is like taking you somewhere unless like not maliciously. Like it's not going to get so intelligent that it says, no, you don't want to go to McDonald's. You don't want to go to Burger King. That's not what I'm
I'll
worried
take
about.
you to Wendy's. Yeah. Yeah.
What I'm worried about is someone hacking into the system and then them telling the car to do what they want. Like computers are
Right. Because
just so
now,
stupid
now
that
we
they
have
don't know who the
Wi-Fi.
customer is.
Right. Now we have Wi-Fi where the model the Tesla Model 3, Model 6. I don't know if you heard of these cars now. Elon Musk. They're pure electric cars. They're they're on the cusp of self-driving where they can make minor corrections on the
Okay, I heard
highway
that.
if you're going
Oh,
out of the lane or something like that for about 3 seconds. Then it
oh,
then it tells you put your hands on the wheel so you have to drive. All these cars are updated on the internet. There's no it's basically all electric. It's one giant computer updated on the internet through Wi-Fi. So what if someone can hack into that car,
hmm
do something you don't want the car to do, self-drive into a wall or something, and then take advantage of that situation?
Yeah, no, and it's
You
just
know?
those kind of things. And I guess, oh, and that brings me back to the thought I was having earlier that you basically made the point in that you have to be sure and double and triple and quadruple sure in the same sense that the artificial intelligence that I was talking about for the Go game. All you want to do is that it adapts to the point that it's the best at Go. So this car, if we made it able to adapt, so that it would be the best at driving. But in the case of Go, when they're ready to go against the champion, it only won 4 to 5 times. If we're talking about a car, I want it to get to my destinations more than 4 to 5 times. You
Right.
know what I mean?
So
It has
now
to
you just
answer
picked
all
out.
of those questions. It has to get
So now you
perfect,
picked
but
out.
perfect, but
If
perfect.
the human beat a computer four once out of 5 times, there's a flaw in the programming. The
Well, I
computer
think,
should have won 5 out of 5 times.
yeah,
Right?
and they fixed it afterwards, and now it can beat everyone. But yes, there was a flaw, and that even when you fix it, now there might still be a flaw that we still
There still might be
unforesaw,
a flaw.
right? What if they were talking about earthquakes recently. I thought, what if that switches a magnetic thing just slightly that runs a compass, and then everyone is off by a half a degree and drives off the Brooklyn
Yeah.
Bridge, you know, or something like
Yeah.
this, right? Because they're a half a degree off, or not drives off, but pushes or whatever, you know. Or what if one day there is a bug and just they updated, but whoops, we forgot about this, and it was only 1,000 cars, but they all turned left at once at 2 o'clock, and so overall we've
That
talked
might
about.
not be so good. Yeah.
But in the end, it's like, and I almost saw that as the Zeppelin example, like the blimps. It's like that'll happen, and I don't know. Let me bring those two together. You know what I mean by the Zeppelins? Like when they
Yeah.
were, it
Yeah.
was like it was
I know
supposed to
what they
be.
are.
As I understood it, it would have got you across the Atlantic twice as fast
Well, the Hindenburg was a Zeppelin.
for exactly for less money, twice as fast. You don't have to stop at the water. You can go all the way inland. It was going to be great. It was just in its prototype stages, as it were, early stages. You get one big disaster, hits the news, no one will ever get in one again, right?
Right.
So all it takes, even if we can prove it, like I did to you, statistically it's better, Frank. It'll reduce the mortality by half, maybe more. But then one day, 1,000 people, only 1,000. There's a lot of people on the road, only 1,000. But it hits the news because at two
Yeah.
o'clock, 1,000 people turned left and they all died. And then again, no one will ever get in that car that doesn't have a steering wheel
Right,
ever
you can't
again,
trust that
right?
technology. Yeah, right.
Even if you could say that, oh no, all we need to do is get a bit better, like was it the Hindenburg that blowed up?
It was the Hindenburg, yeah.
But it was filled with the wrong gas or something. And if it would have been the
No,
other
Zeppelins
gas, there would have been
Zeppelin
fine.
at that time was filled with helium. I'm sorry, yeah, helium. Now, no, it was hydrogen. Sorry, not
And
helium.
one of them blew up,
And one of them blew
but
up.
the
Yeah.
other one doesn't blow up.
But the helium is very stable. Now. It's a noble
It's
gas.
yeah, it's just like
Yeah,
our party balloons. Yeah. Imagine,
yeah, yeah, exactly. No, no, it's very helium is unreactive. Right, helium is unreactive. Hydrogen is very reactive.
it reacts, right? So yeah, anyways, but it could have worked, right? People even still talk about it up in Canada because we have a lot of problem getting like goods up to the north, right? We don't have roads, it's just too isolated unless it's the winter and then the rivers become roads. But then as soon as that
Ice
thaws, we
truckers,
can't
yeah.
get it. So
Yeah, I've seen it on TV. The ice truckers, yeah.
it's like planes, but these zeppelins are suddenly a super good idea because you just
But now
take
we
off,
have
whoop,
blimps. Yeah.
and you land anywhere. You don't need an airport. Doesn't need to be, it needs to be fairly nice weather or reasonable rather. But and they're bringing it back like, whoa, why did we forget about this technology? Anyways, but
Right,
the
and now what?
self-driving
50 something
cars,
years old. 60 something years old.
it's got to be old, right? But it's still viable, apparently.
Apparently. Well, we have blimps, not zeppelins anymore. They're called blimps, and they're filled with helium. They don't have
Oh, and they're
hydrogen.
just for football games, right?
Yeah, right. So there's,
The
yeah, I don't
Goodyear.
know what the practicality of a blimp is. I have no idea. I see it up in the football thing, and it has the words going by,
That's it.
buy Goodyear tires. That's all I see. What good? I don't
Can
know the
you
practicality.
imagine if the Goodyear blimp, it did it football game, and then on the off season, it's just carrying food up to northern Alaska, say. And then you see, that
Right.
would be like, man,
Yeah.
everyone would love the Goodyear blimp again.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right.
I'm just saying, marketing idea. Goodyear, you can have that one. That's
Oh,
on
well,
me.
good year. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good year if you're listening. I
For
doubt,
this.
but yeah.
I mean, no, I
Yeah.
want, I want a cut. I want a cut of that.
Me too. I was part of this.
That's right. Exactly. All of us. 20% each.
This is a collaboration.
Exactly. No, it's it. But honestly, I wouldn't. But no, to do something like that, that would actually be a super good idea because they were known for blimps, and just to kind of
Yeah, you
revive
know,
it and get everyone talking about Goodyear, just say, hey, we're bringing up food to these remote communities that otherwise are poorly served. That would be good
and I
marketing,
see,
wouldn't it?
and I see each generation becoming more and more dependent on the technology.
Mm.
It's not like I'm
Oh
45
yeah.
years old.
Oh
You're in your late 30s, right?
yeah, 38.
Fraser, yeah, late 38. So we grew up in a time where we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have
Hmm.
computers, we didn't have GPS. We relied on rotary phones. Remember the rotary phones?
Yes, I
We
had
had
one.
that. We had
And
folding
those
maps.
cords,
Yeah, we had
those little
when
swatty cords,
beepers
where did those go?
when beepers came out. They were the big thing. We had we had pay phones on the corner.
Yeah,
I don't know what they have in Canada, but probably the same thing.
they don't have them anymore.
We didn't have
Well,
we
very
okay,
rarely.
right. Everybody has a cell phone now. So this is so the new generations are relying more and more on technology, and people our age and older haven't used that technology.
Hmm.
They aren't dependent on it. In fact, they live with that basically technology
Hmm.
free, aside from maybe a flip phone that's not a smartphone. I know my aunt has one. My uncle has one too. My uncle is 67. My aunt is 79. They don't use any of this technology.
Don't have any.
And it's like my cousin is 20 years old, was brought up on all this technology. He grew up with the iPad, the cell
Hmm.
phones, the computer, and everything else. And he probably knows how to use it better than we do. So the reliability of it, not well, not it's more of a reliance now. It's not like it's a convenience anymore. It's a reliance now.
Mm-hmm.
So the new generations are going to embrace this technology, where people like us probably are going to shun it for a while and not trust it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be. Yeah, I feel myself becoming a dinosaur quicker. I think that process happens
Yeah,
quicker.
right.
You
Yeah,
know, it's,
yeah, right.
it's like the things. What would like again, what would that last generation? I'm trying to think of the equivalent in my life, but again, what would the last generation? What did they refuse or not refuse, but were unable to accept for whatever reason? Like really tough to run all these websites because
You
oh
know,
yeah, you have to
it
run
was
all, or
it
they
was
couldn't get online, as it were. Even some of them
it was
tried, they
really
were just
tough for me.
because they didn't grow
It
up
was
with
really
it,
tough
right?
for me.
But even
It
basic
was tough
things
for me
like
to accept
mhm,
my smartphone. I was very reluctant to get my smartphone first. I had a flip phone. I had a Sony Ericsson.
mhm,
I enjoyed it. It didn't have any features. It could hold a couple of photos and it made phone calls and texts. T5 texting. You
yeah.
want that S? You had to
Oh
hit that
yeah.
button 4 times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It just oh yeah,
right,
all you had is numbers.
right,
It's like tick 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 tick
right.
tick
So
tick.
you, to
Oh,
get a
but
text
imagine
out, you
your
had to be.
but for your grandmother, you were like super techie nerd guy because you had that or something. You know what I mean? Or that kind of
Exactly.
equivalence.
Yeah.
And
Right. Right.
then
And
our
right.
kids will see us as the dinosaurs, as we might have seen our
Oh, you
grandparents.
have that? That's funny. That's that.
And what will be the thing that shocks us into saying, like, you kids are bloody crazy kind of thing? I'm imagining it when I imagine that, I think of like
What about
implants.
implants? Oh shit! Like eye
Weird.
implants, ear implant. Yeah,
Like
right.
that
Brain
implant that we
implants.
put in each our
Yeah.
heads so we can know our thoughts. That was weird.
Well,
Yes,
control.
implants. I
Yeah.
totally thought about implant.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it would be like
Becoming cyborgs. Yeah, we're gonna become
icky.
cyborgs. That's yeah.
But again, we talk about automated cars, but like I said, cruise control is around forever. For a long time, they have these things they'll put straight into people's brains and into their ears so that they can hear
So what
again.
if you can? So what if you can control your car just using your implant in your head?
No, no, no. I'm talking about hearing.
No,
People that have
no, I know,
lost
I
their hearing.
understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
No,
yeah. But then
right,
it's another
robotic
step,
ear,
right?
robotic eye. But you know what? They
Yeah, we
put a
already have
Wi-Fi
that.
chip in your head,
And then
and
you
you
just,
control your car, your phone, or your computer just with the thought now.
they had a thing. Where would you put it? It was something, a chip. Like, you know how you get into your door by a electronic lock?
Yeah.
In your wrist or something? I saw this weird news story about an apartment building. You could get it installed in your wrist. Whoops, I dropped myself. I'm trying to show you my wrist. You put it installed in your wrist, like
Yeah.
under your
Well,
skin,
it's my
and you
wrist.
would beep in. I don't know, you know what a wrist looks like, dude. Dumb. But
Demolition Man.
but
Did you ever
that
see this
exists.
movie,
People would
Demolition Man?
install a chip as a key, and in the story they were talking about it as a pay system as well. A chip in your wrist.
That was in Demolition Man. They had the chips in their hand that they used basically for everything.
Oh, I heard about something like that in Vancouver though. So it was like Demolition Man was a provision previewing the future or something. Anyways, yeah.
Oh, it's supposed to take place in like 2050, something like that. So, did you see the movie Sylvester Stallone, Sandra Bullock?
Oh
It's
yes,
actually pretty
that
good.
was classy one. I think there was a couple
Yeah, it was
maybe,
good.
but yeah, I saw the Sylvester Stallone one. It's just so
It's one of those movies I see over and over again. There are very few movies I can watch repeatedly. That's one of
yeah.
them.
Oh, that's a fun movie. Yeah,
But
but
the technology that they had, the self-driving cars, you remember that in that movie?
I
Auto
don't remember.
drive.
Yeah,
The steering wheel would shrink into the column, and it would self-drive.
I don't.
Uh,
Oh, it's. I haven't seen it in a while. But
you gotta
as
watch
you
it
say,
again.
like just
Yeah,
the technology that now it's a very real thing in like 10 years maybe that we would actually see a steering wheel
it's
fold in like
possible.
that.
It's
Yeah,
possible, but again, is it intelligent or is it just relying on a program? I don't know how exactly that would work, but it's a movie, so you
that's it.
suspend disbelief for an hour and a half.
That's it.
You know?
No, and whatever it turns out, my big plan, like right now I'm doing a lot of driving, which is just dumb because of human error. And but my plan is like again, get rid of the car and just walk, take metro, just live in the city. I'm just gonna be a Montrealer without a car. That's my dream. If I need a car, it's like they have these little, by an hour, by day car rentals,
Yeah, we have car to goes here too. We
Car to
have
go,
car
we
to
have that
go.
too. We have car to go. Yeah, we have little
They're
smart
smart cars.
smart cars. We
I
also they're
hate
getting new
them.
ones though. They're getting big ones. They're getting bigger cars
I
now.
you know, I hate the smart cars.
Yeah,
They're
it's
stupid.
stupidly small.
I think I could fit one in my back pocket and walk with it.
Can you imagine you and I getting in a smart car? That would look
I
so
don't think we
ridiculous.
fit.
I would be like this,
Yeah. How tall are you?
6'5". Okay, I'm in.
You're
I'm
six
in now.
five?
I'm in the smart car now. Okay, here we go. Squish.
Holy shit! How tall is Sean?
I don't know. Like he's one of
I
you
thought he was
midgets.
about your height.
No, no, everyone's a midget. I'm,
I'm
I'm
five foot
normal and
five.
everyone's small. All I
I'm
see is
five foot
hair.
five. Yeah, yeah,
All I see is
yeah.
hairlines. I don't see how tall people are. I'm too tall.
I had to no. I gotta when you come over, you see me. I gotta like hi Fraser. You know,
Fine.
I gotta look up
That's
there.
no, I
Man, you gotta look
I don't.
down.
No, it's ridiculous to be this tall. But my dad, he was 6'10", so I grew up like this.
Wow.
I
How tall
never.
was your mom?
Everyone says you're so tall. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, like
How tall was your mom?
uh, 5'10". So I fell in the middle
Wow,
there.
wow. You come from a tall family.
Oh yeah,
I'm the, I'm the
yeah.
shortest man in my family. Again, due to the testosterone,
These
lack of
things.
testosterone.
Yeah,
Everybody in
and
my
yeah,
family is like 5'10" and better. I'm 5 foot 5.
yeah. That's like, and that's like, that's the whole fucking with pheromones. No, hormones. Pheromones.
Hormones. You're
Hormones
pheromone.
in
You're thinking about
adolescence
something
or
else,
in growing
Fraser.
period. But in
uh,
yeah, in anyway,
oh.
we yeah, no, for sure. You would have been a basketball player. You would have been a basketball player, Frank.
Yeah, we probably would have.
Point guard
6'5", man. Holy
for
shit.
the. Oh wait, would you be? Wait, what is it? Oh, sorry, I'm trying. Oh, I was trying to get the basketball teams. I couldn't remember all my basketball teams. I was gonna say
I
you'd be
don't
the
even
point guard for the Chicago Bulls. I'm like, no, 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 that's no, obviously not. No, I was trying to get. Anyways, and then I was gonna say New York Nets. No, wrong sport. No, wrong sport. Just I'm all over the place. But you could have been a basketball player for the New York Nets, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. New York Mets. That's baseball.
Well, you would have been a really good basketball player for them.
We got the Knicks. We got what? I don't know until I know the Knicks.
Nets, no, and like
The Nets. That's Jersey, I think. I don't know. I don't know anything about basketball. I don't follow any kind of sport.
no, it's about a waste of time as there is.
I
Um,
always tell people if they start paying my bills, I'll start watching their games. Until then, I don't care.
exactly. They don't care about you. Like you mean the players themselves, or the people that tell
Anything. I
you?
don't care.
Yeah,
The
if the
owners, the
players paid me,
players, doesn't
if
matter.
someone paid me, I would watch their silliness.
I'd root for them.
If someone paid me to play, I would
Yeah.
be all for that too. But
Score the 3 points. I need my rent paid. Come on.
golly, yeah, it's a weird system that people pay so much for that.
It is.
Anyways, anyways, but I should probably sign off. I'm
Yeah, I thought we were going to talk about prisons today, so I guess that's out of it. We went in a whole another direction, but all right,
oh,
it's all
I
right.
forgot all about prisons. I was thinking we haven't yet got to the layers of um higher entities. I'm trying to get the wording of that one. I want
Right,
to come back to
yeah,
that one too.
other gods, entities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't want to say gods because again, that gets right into things, but how we would, and again, I said maybe we could just go a Christian way, like how it would be, like again, what a demon is, and maybe within a Christian context, what is a false god, and within what is an
right.
angel, where that sits, and I'm like, well, what are their powers? Like, are they eternal or not? Are they again, like, what are their emotional states? I don't know, or is there any descriptors to break that down? Because I knew that existed, but I didn't really think about that as being higher beings. It was just like, yeah, that's up there in the clouds, but it's like, oh yeah, yeah, there's like not rankings, but kind of, or just classifications, anyways.
Yeah.
But
This,
another, yeah,
well,
perhaps for a different. I'll have to think about that. Obviously, it's very fresh. It came up really about the quote. It was that one line. I still didn't look at
well,
it again.
well, well, sorry about that, guys. We're talking about technology tonight, which was an interesting conversation, though. That was an
Yeah.
interesting conversation.
It was, no, and it was, and that's like if we would have planned something else and said we have to do this every day, we would have missed
I
that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
just,
Having a plan sometimes doesn't always work. Sometimes these conversations that are very spur of the moment work better.
I think so. I just, at the same time, we can do because it was kind of the quote of the day. I don't know. I don't know. Do you want
Yeah,
to read
that was my.
the psalm, or I don't know,
Do
or
I want to? Yeah, hold on. Let
it
me
kind
go
of gives
on
a
my.
preview of what's coming from us? Oh, there it is. Yeah, Psalm
Let me go
86.
on my. You want to read? Or you want me to?
I'm really not good at reading. I'm terrible. I stumble
You're
and
not
do
good at
these.
reading?
I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
very
Well,
good. No. Or
I'm not
I
that
like I'm
great
not.
either.
It's not good out loud and stuff.
I'm not that great either, so don't even don't expect anything
Oh, I have.
too
It's
intelligent from
really
me.
like as soon as it's there, I get these feelings because there was this English teacher that really poisoned me for anything that's English, and we had to do Shakespeare, one Shakespeare play every year, grade 10, 11, 12. And part of that in the English class was doing a reading around the circle of the class. Everyone had to take a character, and you read this shite. And she knew I wasn't very strong at reading, so she would give me like big roles. I'm reading flabbity flaggity Shakespeare, which sucks, man. The words like it doesn't even it's not even English. And so reading out loud
Old
for
English is hard to read. You know, if you have a problem reading, Old English is very hard to read.
and so I'm slow and like stuttering, and then I would say the whole wrong word because my mind is trying to make sense of the sentence at the same time. It was 3 years of hell, right? Like in front of all my friends and shit. Like so, it's like reading out loud. You say that, I'm like, yeah, I could read it. Anyways, but no, you go ahead. I'm sure you've got it.
Okay.
You've got your glasses on
So
now, so
yeah, right. So usually I post verse of the day. I didn't like the single verse. Usually I like to post context, but this time I posted the whole thing. So Psalm 86, a prayer of David. Hear me, Lord, and answer me, for I am poor and needy. Guard my life, for I am faithful to you. Save your servant who trusts in you. You are my God. Have mercy on me, Lord, for I call you all day long. Bring joy to your servant, Lord, for I put my trust in you. You, Lord, are forgiving and good, abounding in love to all who call you. Hear my prayer, Lord. Listen to my cry for mercy. When I am in distress, I call to you because you answer me. Among the gods, there is none like you. Lord, no deeds can compare with yours. All the nations you have made will come and worship before you, Lord. They will bring glory to your name. For you are great and do marvelous deeds. You alone are God. Teach me your way, Lord, that I may rely on your faithfulness. Give me an undivided heart that I may fear your name. I will praise you, Lord my God, with all my heart. I will glorify your name forever. For great is your love toward me. You have delivered me from the depths of the realm of the dead. Arrogant foes are attacking me, O God. Excuse me. Ruthless people are trying to kill me. They have no regard for you. But you, Lord, are a compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. Turn to me and have mercy on me. Show your strength in behalf of your servant. Save me because I served you, just as my mother did. Give me a sign of your goodness, that my enemies may see it and be put to shame. For you, Lord, have helped me and comforted me. So that's Psalm 86. And what you focused on
no,
is
no, I popped it out. But no,
the
by saying that almost like 99%, I was
right,
like, yeah, of
version,
course,
yeah.
yes. And I was just
So,
nodding the whole way along. And then I
yeah,
thought
yeah, yeah.
that line eight, or, but no, seriously, like the
Right.
rest is like, yeah, like in terms of like, as you know, might like, wait, do we take it chapter and verse? I think there's an expression like that. But what I'm reading into it is like, absolutely, like this is it. It was just the line eight where it's like, among
Right,
gods, there's
among the
none like
gods.
you. And it just got me thinking about what we mean by the other and in small g gods. When, again,
Right, small
we're
g, right.
understanding that's the big G God, that means something. What does small g gods mean? And I guess maybe we're talking about demons and angels and these things. And maybe I'd even throw in there like prophets, how they stand up a bit
Um,
above, as it were,
okay,
like
and,
in between
well,
humans and big G God, kind of filling up that picture is where I was getting at with that one. You know what I mean? And again, maybe not
right,
tonight, but
and,
just because. Well, I don't know. Go ahead, and we can start, but we can build on it
well,
maybe.
well, the gods, they were always pagans back then. There were always people worshiping other gods. There's a particular god that was sacrificed children to. I can't remember the name of the god. Most, I think it's a demon. Um, Especially it says in Leviticus, you shall not worship this god or sacrifice your children to this one. Um,
I guess. But is he still
anything that
around? Do you think?
requires any, yeah, anything
That
that,
guy, is he still around,
that
but no one talks to him anymore? That guy, that
demons
demon?
don't exist. Demons are eternal.
They
They're
are eternal.
all right. We'll get back to what demons are in a second. But
Mhm.
It says anything that you have to sacrifice to is evil, especially sacrifice a human being to it. Except for actually our God. Our God required a sacrifice, of course, the old covenant of Moses. I think a bull was sacrificed on the altar. It's animal blood. It's not human blood until Jesus sacrificed himself for us. But usually, human sacrifice is demonic. So that kind of God they're talking about, I think it was Nebuchadnezzar that took over Israel, invaded. It was the Babylons. Babylons, something. Anyway, he was ordering people to worship this type of God. It was his God.
Nebuchadnezzar, that Nebuchadnezzar?
Nebuchadnezzar, yeah, yeah. I think it's a king. That's the king's name. I'm pretty sure. And three
That's
Israelites refused to worship this God. They were thrown into the fire and they didn't burn. Our God, the one true God, saved them. So minor gods, gods that we've made up, like the Roman gods, the Greek gods, those were probably the gods that are being addressed. Not specifically, but you know,
it's
I
interesting.
can't
It's
give the
like
word.
they,
Yeah.
but just the idea that they still exist, but everyone just started ignoring them, so they lost all their power, or
It's only
something
the power that we
it
give
would
them.
give
It's
them.
not the power that they have any. How much power does the Greek god Zeus have? Right?
But how much power did he have? And even not in a, maybe
It
not
was
in a
only in
physical way,
books.
but
It was,
his his presence was able to shift a culture for generations. So that was a real
but that,
power, if you will, of a people. And that
but
gives power to
that's
demons,
right.
that gives power to gods. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's
that
interesting.
the whole Greek and Roman mythology is based on what people wrote about, not anything that is divine. You know,
Well,
our
it's
faith
divine in
or
this
my
sense, but it's divine in a little d sense, not in a big D sense.
okay,
And
I
that
get
it
that. Yeah,
seems like under that umbrella, and again, I don't want to impose definitions, that, if a big G God is all loving and only love, all the time love, that there could be a little G God that's just super lovely, but it's just maybe not omnipresent. That's the only thing that's missing. Or, it's just everything but. So he doesn't get the high class, but he's still
well,
on
if
the
it's
full
everything
good
but,
side.
it's not God. If it's
Exactly.
everything
So it's a
but, it's
small G
not. It's
God.
not.
So I'm
Yeah.
putting him into the small G gods. That such a small G God could exist. Just as what we're talking about is a purely evil small
Okay.
G
Okay, I
God. You know what I
understand.
mean?
Right.
So
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
so just wondering about the two, and again, I don't want to impose that definition of a good demon. No, an angel. Is that what we're talking about? Is that what I'm talking about?
Well,
Maybe that's what
angels.
you're talking about.
So, but
No.
but but angels wouldn't. Angels don't want you to worship them. When the angel appeared to Peter, Peter got, John, I think is the Revelation. He bowed down to worship the angel and says, "Get up, I'm not to be worshipped." So angels wouldn't do that. They wouldn't want that kind of they don't have that kind of arrogance or ego.
Yeah.
Demons and Satan, on the other hand, does. So they would want to be worshipped like that.
But so, like, imagine all the time before Jesus comes along. There's like all these other angels and demons hanging around. We'll call them false gods, but say that some of them are good false gods. They're not saying that I'm a replacement for God. They're just all spreading love. Like, I don't know some of those Greek ones, but I think there's one that's just of love. So say that that's a real thing, and
Aphrodite.
it's just like a kind of a good demon, or perhaps
There's
in
no
a
such thing as
bad
a
way
good
is
demon.
all that she or he was doing was perhaps not all, but that's a very bad thing, but promoting himself as a sort of god. When you're not supposed to do that, you're actually supposed to tell them about, the big guy upstairs, and that god of love wasn't doing it. But it's still she's doing only good things in the world. She's not trying to corrupt people with drugs, say. Um,
But that's not
anyways,
what a
I'm just
demon
trying
would
to,
do.
I'm wondering,
Do you
hmm?
know what a demon is, Fraser? Do you know what a demon is?
No, I think we're telling, no, this is what I'm asking. So a demon was like the
Okay, so let me.
false
Okay, so
god,
let's explain. Okay,
like the pagan
so
god that demanded
so
human sacrifice.
Satan, Satan was the most glorified and beautiful angel of God. He was most adorned, but he wanted to be worshipped as a god. Satan, his name was Lucifer. He was very vain. He wanted to be worshipped as God. He tried to rebel against God. He wanted to take
Mm,
God's place. So he had a battle with God, uh, and he was cast out along with one third of all the angels. Lucifer became Satan, and all those angels that followed Satan became demons.
mm-hmm.
They so they are forever. They forever have enmity against God. There is no way they will ever turn to God. They cannot become good again. They're just permanently evil. They will never turn away from Satan. They will always be evil. Uh,
That's a weird one.
they,
How is God
oh,
infinitely forgiving, and yet there is absolutely no possibility for
I'm glad you
forgiveness?
asked that. No, I'm glad you asked that because angels are created beings of God. They are to do God's bidding.
Mm,
Knowingly going against God, knowing what God is and going against that is probably the biggest evil they could possibly ever do. Because
because
they know
they're
God,
up
they
in
know
the
God
class of,
personally.
oh,
Right. Because they know
they're,
God personally. To go against God, to go
oh,
against God's will, is the most evil thing they could possibly do. There is no forgiving to that. God
okay.
cannot forgive that.
No, that explains, like, again, the worldview. So, oops, I'm putting my hand in front. So that basically all the small g gods that I was trying to get around to are, like you say, creations of big G God.
Right.
And not that they follow different rules, but just that if you're like hanging around God's palace, I'm just being silly now, but
Oh,
every day, rather
if you
than
ever
you
seen
and
the
you start
haunting,
breaking the rules, you're seeing him every day.
right?
So it's a different level of moral crime,
It's like
perhaps. If you,
it's like you it's like
yeah,
you creating a
or if they,
computer. You created a computer to do this whatever you wanted it to do. All of a sudden the computer says, "No, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm doing what I want to do." What are you going to do? You're going to destroy the computer, or you're going to let it go do what it wants. That's just basically the same thing.
oh, you just opened a whole
And
other can of worms. We're talking about artificial intelligence. Remember how we were talking about
that's why I
a
wanted to get to
human
you. That's
pointing at an ant? And
right,
now we're like a human creating an intelligence. And how,
right. And when
they say that we're
so
playing God.
think of a demon as Satan as that intelligence that you created turning against you.
That's it.
Did you, right? So there,
But yeah, it would take some
there's
work.
only one sin. So phrase, there's only one sin God cannot forgive, and that's to curse the Holy Spirit. So demons, the angels that turned against God, are basically cursing God's Spirit. They're saying, "I don't want to do what your will. I want to do what I want to do. I want to destroy your creation." Basically, that's Satan's goal: to destroy our creation, to take as many souls as he can before God comes and throws them in the pit. And that's in Revelation. The devil knows he can't win. He knows he's going to be destroyed one day, but it's that he wants to take as many souls as he can, win them for himself, and destroy God's creation. Hurt God as much as he can before he himself becomes destroyed.
Okay, no, that clears up on that one too. Of no, it clears up, but it gets to like again what
Well, there's
what is
probably a
known
lot more
about
questions
the
than answers right
Satan's
now.
intentions kind of
Right.
thing. I guess
If you ever see a haunting or demonic haunting on TV, where like 3 a.m. would be the time they would haunt the most, or people would get three scratches on their back or anything like that, that's a demon making fun of the Trinity. Making fun. 3 a.m. is the anti-hour because in the Bible Jesus died at 3 p.m. on the cross, so 3 a.m. would be the anti-hour. You understand? So that's why demons are stronger and haunting at 3 a.m. So
I did not know that about that thing.
no, that's
No, I
okay.
guess I was going on the. So we go back to the analogy again.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna have fun with that one now. Now that I think about it, Transformers.
Transformers.
So
Oh,
we're creating artificial intelligence, but they got to get really
right.
intelligent, right? And then finally, there's certain of our artificial intelligences that are bad and good. So we, as grand creators of Transformers, create the I forgot what they're called, Decepticons and the
Decepticons and
Opticons,
Autobots. Go ahead. I'm a Transformer
Autobots.
fan. Keep going. Keep going. Optimus
And
Prime and Megatron. Let's go. Come on.
no, it stretches it, but that Mega Prime, he would be Satan. No, Optimus Prime, Megatron would be Satan. Optimus Prime would be
Oh,
Jesus a
Optimus
little
Prime
bit.
wouldn't be God. No, no, Optimus Prime wouldn't be
No,
God. Optimus
not
Prime would be
Optimus Prime wouldn't be
Archangel.
God. God is the one that
He would
created all
that
those
created the
machines.
Transformers. Right.
And then the
So
machines,
he
some of
would
them
be
turned
like
bad and some of them went good, right? I'm just trying
right.
to
He would be like
stretch
the
the analogy a
Archangel
bit.
Michael or something like. Well, I would, in this analogy, make Optimus Prime the Archangel Michael. The Archangel Michael is
Okay.
the one that leads everybody in battle against Satan.
Okay. No, no, fair
Okay,
enough.
so
Good. Yeah, no. Oh, I see. Yeah, Jesus wasn't an angel. What the hell am I talking about?
Jesus is not an angel, so
I get it. No, sorry.
Jesus is God.
I'm getting tired. Yeah. No, sorry. I'm thinking these. I'm trying to
Yeah.
analogize it, and now God is creating Transformers, and it's a silly analogy, but it's something that
Well, the
again,
Quintessons created the Transformers. We'll get into that some other time.
I should start these things. Yeah. No, anyways, I think I'm gonna. I think I should sign off.
Yeah, I see you getting a
But
little punchy here.
but yeah, no, it's but no, we had a good conversation about stuff we didn't mean to talk about. Oops, I'm getting
No,
weird
it's good.
writing
Like
now.
I said, very enlightening.
It's very enlightening, wasn't it, Frank? Do you feel
Yeah.
enlightened right now? How are your eyes? Do you feel enlightened?
Yeah. I
No,
feel brightened.
I feel brightened. Sorry, I feel brightened. Anyways, well, I'm glad to. Well, I'm glad we got a chance to talk tonight, and
Oh, me too. I feel better.
tomorrow.
My stomach is okay now.
That's good. No, again, I'll just remember that. Just stay on topics that don't. I don't know if there's
Well,
topic. No,
like
but
I
just
said,
keep talking. Like you say,
even
everybody.
if the topic wasn't what we planned on,
Yeah.
if it flows, it's spur of the moment. We talk about it. What's the difference?
And I
We find truth.
forget a lot of other
And
things.
like I,
That's yeah,
and like I said in the first podcast, we'll find truth wherever it lies.
something will fulfill. We don't know where or why would no, but that's it. And yeah, yes, I agree. No, excuse me.
Cheers.
Um, eh, yeah, we'll find it. Anyways, I don't know what I'm looking for now. I was just thinking about something I should look for in a minute, but now I've forgotten
You're getting old, Fraser. I get that too. You go into a room, you think you forgot what you wanted. You have to walk out to remember, and you walk back in.
it. Where's this go? But no, yeah, no, it was. It's good. Oh, I was something about the no. Oh, and I want to say something about the topic. Yeah, that we didn't choose the topic, but we found something. It doesn't matter.
Well, you
I think
started
I
off with an
signed out.
anecdote and led
But
into
yeah,
everything.
no, no,
So,
that's. But it was good. No, like I say, we get to something different each time. I'm gonna get a stand for this darn camera. It's probably gonna look really shaky. I don't know what this looks like in
I
here.
actually have. I want to show you what I do here, so you can see. See my monitor? Okay, wait. You see my monitor, my keyboard? I
Yeah.
lean it against the monitor and the keyboard. That's how you see me.
And you've got what was your phone again? Is it S7?
Galaxy S7, yeah.
Yeah,
J7, sorry.
J7 years. But you have the okay. I ended up getting the S7. And I thought, oh, I think it's the same as Frank. Especially when I saw
S7?
the
Well, you said
earphone plug is on the
J5?
bottom, and I thought
That's fine.
I had an A5. There was a lot of letters in that
It ain't
phone
fine.
store.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, it's too much for me.
So there's an S7 and a J7?
Oh, apparently there's an 8 too. So,
Oh,
yeah, the S7, the S, well, the Samsung S is on the top of the line. Those are the I can't think of the word, but those are top of the line. I think everything else is like on not
okay.
as many features. So like I had a chance to get an S8, but it's like $25 a month. I didn't want to spend that
Oh
much.
yeah. And that's why it was. You said yours was less. Okay, I thought I was going. Anyways, I upgraded. It was $5 more a month, but yeah. Anyways, well, no, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
I was gonna
well,
get a J3, but it had a smaller battery and a less megapixel camera, and I wanted the bigger battery because I like the battery life.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's
And,
reason.
and you say
That would have been
S8
$5.
exists. S8 is a thing?
S8, yes.
Okay, so I'm on S7. I got. Oh, that's
That's
what I
eight
use.
hundred dollars. The S8's $800. My phone's
Oh,
250 retail.
I don't know what mine was. Like I say, it's. I think I'm paying
Probably
$10 a
about
month for
200.
2 years or something.
It's probably about $200 a month. $200
Yeah.
retail rather. But that's
Yeah,
Canadian. That's all. I don't know.
but it's because I got last year's model. That's fine with me.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right. Mine's a mine's a 2017.
yeah,
I'm happy with it. Yeah.
that's good. All right. Well, we'll try and maybe we'll hook up tomorrow. We'll see.
You want to make this a daily thing, though?
I
We
don't
can do
know.
that.
Depends. Like I gotta
Whatever you want to
get my
do. Whenever
schedule
your
tomorrow
schedule is.
night, but we can see. We can see. I'll try and put up some blurbs to get my juices flowing. I put up a few little silly clips in the day. I get get my juices
Yeah, I
flowing.
watched them. I enjoy those. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good night then.
Sorry about the money. You too, Fraser.
Yeah.
God bless you. Take care. This has
Thanks.
been Seeking Truth with Frank and Fraser. Take care, everybody.